So the market is slowing down in Gilbert and in Phoenix Metro, as a matter of fact. And when I say slowing down, I mean it's becoming less and less of a competitive market and more in favor towards home buyers out there. So if the market's slowing down, does this mean home prices are going to drop? And does this mean that if you're selling your home, it's going to take longer to sell? I'm actually going to break it down today, talk about what's going on, and if you are planning on buying or selling in this year, 2025, what this means for you and maybe what strategies would make the most amount of sense for you. So my name is Courtney Strelzik. I live and work here in Gilbert, Arizona. I'm a real estate agent with Real Broker. Here is my contact information. So if you have any specific questions about your circumstance, your particular circumstance, please reach out. And if you don't mind hitting that subscribe button, it does help me out a lot. So how do we actually know that the market is slowing down in Gilbert? We can actually see this by looking at our market index, which takes into account the balance of supply and demand. Now, when we look at the market index right here, we can see that we actually dropped about 7 points in this past week. And this isn't a crazy drop, but we have been trending lower to a lower and lower market index number. Now, we can still see that Gilbert is still one of the more competitive major cities in the Phoenix metro area. We're still ranked number 5 as far as the most competitive seller markets right now. And even though we're softening, the market's slowing down, we're still technically a seller's market. And when we determine a seller's market, that's anything with a market index score of above 110. And right now we're at 122. So we're really kind of on the cusp of a neutral market and a seller's market, but technically, it's still a seller's market. Now, compared to last year, we are considerably a slower market across the board. A lot of people thought this was because interest rates were really high and that home buyers were or people weren't out shopping for homes. And this is actually not the case. We've actually seen an uptick in mortgage application and our demand is stronger than it has been in prior years. But what we've seen is the amount of listings on the market has increased substantially. It's almost increased by 60% compared to the same time of year last year in 2024. Now, inventory is certainly higher than it's been in the past couple of years, but something to note is, 21, 22, we had such a shortage of homes available for sale. So even though we've had such an increase of homes for sale in the market compared to last year or prior years, you just have to keep that in mind. It's not like we're 2008 and we have an oversupply of homes. It's just that we came out of a market that really had no homes available for sale. There really just weren't any options, for a couple of years after COVID. So are we going to continue to see the market slow down even more? I don't have a crystal ball. I always have to disclaim that. But one of the biggest indicators we can look at to see where the market is going is the contract ratio. Now, I'm not going to bore you with a lot of jargon, but this is basically when we look at how many homes are actually on the market compared to how many homes are under contract. And when we start to see this number increase, that usually indicates that the market is becoming more active and it's becoming slightly more competitive. Now, seasonally in the springtime, we do see the market or this contract ratio increase. And you can see that in the chart right here. I'm going to put some arrows where you can look in past years and see that we did have an increase. Now, currently, we did see a very subtle uptick, definitely very modest compared to prior years, but there was a subtle uptick. I mean, just considering historical trends, we would anticipate that it's going to get busier throughout the spring, but I will keep you posted. Now, a couple months ago, I did talk about how we did see the median sales price drop quite a bit in Gilbert. And I promised I would follow up on this. So we did see it kind of level out and there was a slight uptick this past month. Right now, the median sales price is about $560,000. The lowest priced home that we saw last month was in Breckenridge Manor. It was a condo and it sold for $293,000. And then the most expensive sale was actually a single family home in the community of Morrison Ranch. And this sold for $3.5 million. So sure, all these data points are great, but what does it mean if you need to buy or sell your home this year? Well, let's talk about selling your home. Currently, the agent days on market is about 26 days. And this is when you first list your house to when you go under contract. So right now, we're typically seeing most homes take about 2 months to officially sell. Keep in mind this 26-day period, this is a median. So we are going to see homes take less time and a lot of homes take more time as well. And it really comes down to 4 factors. First, the price of your home. If your home is overpriced, even just by a little bit, in this market today, it's going to sit. Buyers have options out there and they're not going to be paying or overpaying for a home right now. Number two is marketing. When are you listing the home for sale? Are you using video? That's imperative in today's market to get as many eyes on the property as possible. The third thing is location. Is it in a beautiful neighborhood with parks, or is it backed up to a busy road or maybe a huge shopping center? And the fourth thing is the condition of the home. Is the home clean? Is there a lot of clutter? Or is that buyer, when they buy that home, are there going to be a lot of home projects that they're going to have to complete? Now, the good news, if you're buying, you have more negotiating power than you have historically. You have more options out there, which is an amazing thing if you've been on the sidelines waiting for a while. The other good thing that we're seeing is there's still a good amount of seller concessions. And if you aren't familiar with seller concessions, this is when the seller at the closing table provides an agreed amount of money, and these funds can either go to buying a rate buy down or purchasing a rate buy down, or those funds can go to covering your closing costs so you don't have as much cash they have to bring to the closing table. Now, we just saw last month about 48% of homes were actually receiving some sort of seller concession, and the average or the median of those seller concessions was about $10,000. When we looked at what type of homes were getting the most amount of seller concessions, we did find a lot of them were single family homes, and a lot of them were actually priced between that $500,000 to $600,000 mark. And if you want to know more about how seller concessions work, or if it would make sense for you, I'd be more than happy to chat about it. There's a lot of nuances and ins and outs of it. It's really a great tool to use when you're negotiating, just to make sure that you're utilizing your funds and really getting the best overall deal, because sometimes it's not just about the sales price. Sometimes it's figuring out how you can get creative and move around your funds in order to get either the lowest monthly payment or to bring less money to the closing table. And if you want to know more about Gilbert, please hit this playlist right here. Have a fantastic day.